those evidence, I would very much welcome from colleagues. If you catch up with some of these people, like you can have the vehicles, you can have some of these people. Let's help each other so that the law catches up. No, Muiru.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues. Right Honourable Speaker, the Constitution creates an environmental committee which is headed by the Prime Minister. Honourable Aung raised a very serious matter, and I've had the benefit to listen to my good friend, Honourable Minister. Our friendship notwithstanding, she seems not to have contextualized the seriousness of the matter. And she seems to be speaking about something else. So I'm wondering, Honourable Speaker, whether it is in order for the Minister not to respond with specifics in respect of the plan taken by government to address the matter, other than speaking to us generally. Because the Attorney General, Honourable Speaker, has even issued a guideline to the Minister of Lands that no certificate of title can be issued in a wetland. But if you move now, whoever is building a wetland has a title. So is no Minister in order to respond casually to a very serious matter? Thank you.
I believe the Minister was building her response, and I know that she's going to address the real issue. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my colleague cannot doubt the stamina we have for conserving the environment in this country. And as I was building on that, Madam Speaker, I was trying to assure my colleague, the MP who raised the issue, and drawing his attention that we are dealing with even a bigger one. And therefore, for what he has already raised, Madam Speaker, I'm assuring him that we are going to catch up with those people. There are other measures which are waiting actions, because I don't want to only address one issue which is already on the floor. I'm going to, Madam, to have a total plan which will be again rolled here. As I said, we have already set some, but because of the COVID lockdown, we are still being put on hold. Now that we are trying to manage it, we are already going to restart some of this activity. Let me have the clarification first. Honorable Surani.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, the clarification I want to make, you find that when you talk about wetlands, this is something that affects all of us and our livelihood as Ugandans. But in Uganda, there is a way your technical people handle the issue of wetlands. You find when it is a small Solomon somewhere, the issue is handled expeditiously and is evicted from that wetland. When it is the big minister somewhere, the process delays and delays and delays. Honorable Minister, how are you going to fast track indiscriminatively to ensure that all people of whatever level leave the wetlands, and then we can have and stop flooding? Because the issue that Honorable Ogon raised is affecting every area, that area of Namugongo, everywhere almost in Kampala and Wakiso, there is flooding whenever it rains. I think this is something that needs quick action so that we recover from this. There is a lot of pressure. So I wanted you to clarify and give information to the country how you're going to handle this using the law the way Honorable Muiru raised. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, we are being repetitive. I've ever come to this floor of Parliament trying to project the undertaking of my ministry and highlighting, as much as agreeing with colleagues, of the plight of the wetland degradation and others in totality. Madam Speaker, it has also a financial implication, which we have all along been pushing to. You remember, Madam Speaker and colleagues, I stood here and said there is a plan which we need a financial budget attached to it, and we do a thorough work once and for all. as for the issue my colleague has just raised, that one we shall respond to it immediately. We don't have discrimination before the law, the courts of law. That's why I'm really saying, can we have the culprits? Can we not discriminate against anybody? Let's all join hands, fellow countrymen. These people who are degrading the environment are part and parcel of us. Can we all join hands? That's my plea. But as government, we have already the laws in place. The president has been very categorical about this. He has already engaged, said that we need to see that all the civil servants, the COW, the RDCs, the chief, whatever, where the wetland and the forests are degraded, when they are watching, they must be brought to book. So these are interventions, Madam Speaker, which I ask, give us a little bit of time and see action very soon. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Minister, thank you, but I hope we shall be able to see somebody convicted of an environmental offence. We hope to see a building brought down which was wrongly constructed in the wetland. That's what we want to see. That's what the member is asking for. Okay, Honourable.
Your advice taken, Madam Speaker. I just still want to say that there are a lot of things which we still need to put in place. The law is in place, but in the final, you remember, Madam Speaker, when you advised that some of these, as far as the courts of law which are pro the environment, we should take it back to cabinet and we raise that and we conclude. So we cannot discuss it here until it is done. But what you have advised, Madam Speaker, we have taken it on, and I want to assure the countrymen and countrywomen that the law is going to catch up with the degraders of the environment and particularly the wetland. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable Atiku.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise on a matter of national importance, particularly in regard to the Children's Forum, but to protect the rights of a number of students who were involved in football at the Africa Cup of Nations or Championship tournament. That is for under 17 and under 20. Right Honourable Speaker, a concerned parent sent me a message that he has a child who is in Royal Giants secondary school and is supposed to be sitting for UCE exams starting tomorrow. But this child was called in the camp in preparation for the Africa Cup tournament for under 17. And this is putting the child's future in education in danger because UCE is starting tomorrow and these children are about to be denied their right to education, and particularly as they are supposed to participate in these national examinations. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Education needs to come out clearly to guide the country, because we know, yes, sports is part of education, but if participating in a sports activity is going to deny the holistic benefit of this child's future career, I think it's important that the minister comes here to guide the country on how children who are in the candidate classes can participate in some of these national events without necessarily denying them the opportunity to have the certificates in the future. I thank you.
Are they in the camp here in Uganda or they're outside the country? They're outside the country.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The others have already left the country, they are outside the country. Others are still within the country. And it means, of course, there are rules. Once the players in the camp, they cannot leave. So it's important that the relevant minister comes here to guide the country in as far as that procedure is concerned. I thank you.
Okay. I don't see the Minister of Education. Now, this matter is important. I think someone should send for the Minister of Education before we close so that the country can know what to do. Today is our last sitting for this week. Honorable Asamo. After that will be Honorable Namayanja.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to raise an issue of national concern. I think last week I had the Minister of ICT briefing the country that Cabinet has accepted to roll out the merger of institutions. Merging the institutions will not be a problem because government says they will be saving of over 900 billion, Madam Speaker. The challenge we have is these institutions which have constitutional mandates. I'm not very sure that the Minister of Public Service has already started the process of the amendments, because it will be very bad to merge for the sake of merging. For example, Madam Speaker, I read that the Equal Opportunities Commission will be merged with the Uganda Human Rights Commission. The Uganda Human Rights Commission looks at after effects of abuse of human rights. The Equal Opportunities Commission looks at issues of gender and equity and proposes how government gives service delivery. So if we just go blindly to save money and we don't look at the mandates, Madam Speaker, I have a fear that we might be going for a distraction. And I remember, Madam Speaker, in this House, before even we finished 1 year, that article of gender and equity had come back for a repeal. I think we need to be very clear, what are we merging? Madam Speaker, before I allow the information, I want to propose that the Minister of Public Service comes here with a detailed plan on how we are going to run these processes. Because the issues of the constitutional mandates have to go to the committees, we have to write the reports and make sure that these institutions are merged in the right way. There is an issue of saving money, but looking at the issue of expertise, the issue of human resource, I think to me, it's an enhancement. Can I allow the information, then I'll conclude.
Information?
Now, member, Right Honourable Speaker, this is a very serious matter. When you talk about merging these institutions, most of them were created by an act of parliament who might cause litigation against the government. But Right Honourable Speaker, when you are going to merge and you say you are taking back Uganda Road Fund to Ministry of Works, why do you leave UNRA behind? Parliament must come in to determine under which process are you merging these entities. So UNRA is staying behind, but Uganda Road Fund is being taken back to Ministry of Works. So we need these people. That's why I'm supporting Honorable Helen. So I think we need to look at this area very critically before we continue with what's going to be done without the involvement of Parliament that put up statutes that run these entities. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. My proposal that I think the right person to come and brief us is the Minister of Public Service, and it should be summoned to the House to give a detailed plan. Which institutions are we merging? They are talking of about 183. And where are their mandates going to be, and how are they going to be handled, and how do we manage the human resources? Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Okay, honourable members. Yes, Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleague, for raising this important matter. And indeed, government will be given an opportunity, Madam Speaker, to come and brief the House. But just preliminary information is that as the Minister of ICT addressed the country yesterday but one, it is true that the exercise of merging the institutions has now been concluded in the final stages of conclusion by Cabinet. One, the objectives of this exercise is to increase efficiency within government. Secondly, to save the resources that have been spending under different agencies, when actually we can remove duplication and achieve the same objectives. We set up a committee of Cabinet to come up with a clear roadmap, because we know some of the things that we have to do is to amend the relevant laws. Some of the things we have to look at is the contracts of the existing staff of different institutions. So a committee is now in place. It will come up with a specific roadmap on how this process is going to be, and we hope that this process will take up a maximum of 2 years when it is completed, and then we start the implementation. So we think that what we have done is the right way to increase efficiency in government, and as you said, the preliminary savings that we are seeing is 900 billion out of this exercise, which can actually be applied for the development of others. So once the committee has finished the work of the roadmap, we shall request Cabinet, or rather Parliament, that we make a presentation here in Parliament so that the whole country knows how we are moving forward. But all those things, Honourable, that we have raised, including change of laws, contracts of staff, are things that we have considered, and this exercise is going to take 2 years, Madam Speaker. Thank you. Clarification?
No, Shave?
You know, okay.
Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Minister, I thank you for that kind of explanation. But we would be at peace as Parliament if this merger proposal to merge was informed with a certain study and was informed by a process. But the information we have, Honourable Minister, it is a group of ISO people who sit somewhere and look at these agencies, and they wish some away, and they wish to retain some. Is there any scientific study that has been done to know which agency is contributing how much to the economy, and which agency we are losing money? Or it is still with the famous Operation Wealth Creation officers who sit somewhere and determine these changes?
Thank you very much, Honourable Patrick. The government that you used to belong to doesn't work that way. We have a process that we put in place. This exercise has been on for now 2 years. A study was made by Public Service, and actually I must say that I think it was Honourable Sewung, who raised the issue of road fund. Even UNRWA, as you'll be seeing, UNRWA is also going back to the mother ministry. So a study has been done. There has been an elaborate process to come up with the rationalization of institution in this government. So we do not work that way, Patrick. And I wish you had stayed in this government. You would have known how we work properly. Thank you.
Can I invite Honorable Namayanja? 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm raising a matter of great national importance. Madam Speaker, on the 1st of July 2020, the Ministry of Local Government handed over cities. The cities that were handed over were given guidelines. Unfortunately, these guidelines were challenged in courts of law. Madam Speaker, all the excitement that came with the new cities is now becoming a challenge, a great challenge, because even collecting garbage right now is a problem because administration has been challenged of the new cities. There is no structure. Madam Speaker, there is no law. Even Ministry of Finance has not released the third quarter for the municipalities to run as they were running. It becomes a problem, Madam Speaker, to see that we are living in a vacuum. My humble prayer is that the Ministry of Finance comes to clarify why the funds are not released, and the Ministry of Local Government tells us how these cities are going to be run. I want to inform the members that I'm one of the elected mayors for the new cities, and I don't want to fall in a vacuum when it comes to administration in the new regime of Masaka City. That's my humble prayer, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Namayanja. May I, on behalf of the House, congratulate you for your election as the only woman city mayor in Uganda. But to add that when the accounting officers for the cities were being appointed, I asked the Minister of Local Government the legal structure of those cities and whether the town clerk of a town and municipality was also the town clerk of the city. And he said that for the time being, that's what is happening. But I think I also reminded him that I needed to see the laws relating to the other cities. We have the city of Kampala in the Constitution. We have a law for the city of Kampala. We don't have a law for the other cities. So it is something that needs to be addressed so that the people who have been elected and the citizens know what to do in their cities. But I don't see the Minister of Local Government here. I don't know who can assist us in this matter. Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, I also want to join you and our colleagues in congratulating Honorable Namayanja upon the election as the first city mayor for Masaka, female city mayor. Congratulations. Second point, we came here in the House and in the interim we worked out a formula for the accounting officers and we took seriously your guidance. We know that there are some legal challenges regarding the city, But regarding the budget, we agreed that the budget which was meant for the town councils, the municipalities, should in the interim help the cities to take off, to do the planning as we prepare to fund them fully. So as resources come, we'll be able to increase their budget, but as we speak, the municipal council budgets will continue to finance the operations and the preparations of the cities as we move forward. Regarding the other legal matters, I request that, Madam Speaker, you give us some time next week. We come and update the House. The Minister for Local Government will do that accordingly. I thank you.
Okay.
I'm off the floor.
He's not there now. Honorable Wadswaka. Honorable Wadswaka.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members. Madam Speaker, I raise on a matter of national importance. Yesterday in the afternoon, as we were debating the, I don't want to call it the famous Hononwagaba bill, rain, thunderstorm and hailstorms hit my constituency, particularly Busole Town Council, Madam Speaker and Honourable Members. The whole police station of Busole was blown off. Right now, the entire police is in shambles, Madam Speaker. Busole Primary School was blown off. And more so, Madam Speaker, I'm like I have the Minister for Disaster and the Prime Minister, they are here, and the Minister of Finance. Madam Speaker, government came out with a policy that all schools should be installed with lightning arresters. Lightning struck 3 pupils off. Now, Madam Speaker, the shops, the churches, and the Prime Minister, even the mosque was blown off. So, my prayers, Madam Speaker, I want an urgent response from, as a principal cardinal, from government, especially, Madam Speaker, for the police post, which is the government, the school, and people who lost their property, especially the churches, the mosques, and shops. I beg to submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I see the Minister for Disaster Preparedness. I don't know whether they can say something about the situation in Busole.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you, colleague, for bringing to our attention what has happened to Busole and in areas in your constituency. We got that information, and we have sent our task force, our team, to evaluate what we can do in the area. However, colleagues, you are aware that we launched recently the disaster atlas maps, which indicates the possible hazards in different parts of this country, depending on the various factors, particularly where drought can hit and where flood can hit and the landslides. All those information are available, and we intend to ask our colleague in the Ministry of Finance to now get our ministry, our department, to get a budget. Because up to now, we don't have any budget. We depend on contingency fund, which we beg the Ministry of Finance to give us when disaster strikes. So really, that is, I would wish that Parliament now appropriate if possible with the next budget. We should have a budget so that situation like this, we don't need again to move from place to place. We need to move. And that is an internal, I just brought it for information, not for you to debate now. But it may come because we are discussing it with our colleagues in cabinet, and we are trying to see if disaster can now be managed professionally. Thank you.
Honourable members, the Committee on Presidential Affairs is encouraged to take an interest in this matter, since we are going to be working on the budget to ensure that some provision is made for the disaster management in the country. Honourable Fungaro.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable colleagues, I rise on a matter of urgent national importance. This is to do with the security. As I was heading to Parliament from West Nile, I was intercepted by people in vehicles which we commonly refer to nowadays as drones. I have got complaints from my colleagues, members of Parliament, some of whom are also in this house. These vehicles called drones are now used for kidnappings of people. In Arua, in Yumbe, in Obongi, these drones are still there. The President recently addressed the country on issues of security. Now, what is the use of the head of state talking about an evil when the evil continues to happen? Family members of leaders and members of the opposition, including my own members of the leaders of political parties of the opposition, no FDC in West Nile, still live in fear of being kidnapped. I rise therefore here, Madam Speaker, seeking for interventions of this House on my life and the lives of my family members and leaders. Let me take this and then I conclude.
Thank you very much, honourable colleague, for giving way. The information I want to provide is that yesterday the Right Honourable Speaker did direct the Minister for Internal Affairs to come to the floor today with a list of missing persons. Right Honourable Speaker, when you made that directive, there is a lot of expectation because many families have their loved ones missing. So as we await that list, I want to provide information, honourable colleague, that possibly those who are living in fear and those who have been abducted, we will know from the list that will be read as directed by the Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much, Right Honourable colleague, for this information. Right Honourable Speaker, the information is good, I welcome it, but I see it as an information mainly talking about those who have already been abducted or who are missing. But what about someone like me, who is about to be abducted? Yes, Madam Speaker. What about my family, my children? People are going to school and they followed me as I was crossing from Obongi to Ajumane. People chasing a member of Parliament who is still sitting and working. Where is the parliamentary immunity we talk about? Right Honourable Speaker, have we now criminalized the opposition? We don't want the political opposition in Uganda. We don't want political dissent in our country. This is where, as we wait for the information about those who have been abducted, We need assurances and provisions to take care of those who have not yet been abducted and are about to be abducted. Right now, Honorable Speaker, our history and experience in West Nile is bad. People who are abducted don't come out as normal. They come out as they are sick. Madam Speaker, they get tortured and poisoned in detention. This is what is happening. There are people who are dying slowly of being poisoned by these people who are abducting people in unmarked vehicles, carrying guns when they are in civilians. Some of them are the police, particularly the DPC of Obongi called Abel Ruganza, ASP. He's the master of all these evils, and he tells the people openly, I can kill you, I can abduct you, and nothing happens to me. I have reported this to the RPC of Moyo. I have even talked to the Director of Operations of Uganda Police, but this young man called Abel seems to be above the law of Uganda. What do we do now, Madam Speaker? I need your help.
Honourable members, first I will direct the Inspector General to provide security for Honourable Fungaro, but also as the Inspector, the Minister of Internal Affairs, to examine the complaint made by Honourable Fungaro and ensure that both him and his family and the other people are secure, but also to investigate the conduct of the person he has named, the District Police Commander for Bongi, so that the situation of the honourable member can be addressed. If you can come back and give us an update by Thursday next week. Thank you. Item 3.
Item 3, the Constitution Amendment Bill 2019.
Members, yesterday we had commenced the debate. The number of members who wanted to speak. Can I invite Honorable Baliek? Honorable Baliek, Honorable Bakurut, Honorable Wamai, Honorable Go? Yes, Oshava, I've seen you. Let's start with those. 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. May I take this opportunity to thank you so much for making it back to Parliament.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I would like to thank Honorable Nuwagaba for bringing the Constitution Amendment Bill 2019. Right Honorable Speaker, I have about five comments. The first comment is about ministers to be ex-officials. We know very well that ministers represent government and they should be abreast with government programs. For better representation, a minister should be a politician. And being a technical person is an added advantage, Right Honorable Speaker. We know that when the President is appointing ministers, sometimes ministers are appointed when they are not having qualifications that they are supposed to have on the duties that they are going to implement. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would suggest that ministers should be politicians, but also when they are being appointed, their technical qualifications should be aligned to the appointments that they are going to have. The second comment is on the RDCs, Right Honorable Speaker. The office of the RDC is a very important office in the district. This office oversees the security in the district. This office does monitoring government programs, and this office also supervises district officials who are implementing government programs. Right Honorable Speaker, there is one challenge I continue? Okay. Right Honorable Speaker, there's one challenge that I've seen with the office of the RDCs. Some of them don't know security matters very well. And some of them don't even have monitoring and evaluation skills. So I would propose that in order for them to be effective and efficient in their duties, the RDCs should be trained when they are appointed. Because they are appointed, they are not trained, they just go to offices and start working without any knowledge probably, but some of them have this knowledge. Others don't have the knowledge that I'm talking about, Right Honorable Speaker. So this office is important. It should be retained, but only that the office bearers should be trained in order to be efficient and effective. Another thing that I would like to bring to this August House is about the panel of speakers, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, you have seen the backlog of business of Parliament. The panel of speakers is really necessary. I do support this, and I feel the panel of speakers will improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of Parliament. So I would like to say that I really support the panel of speakers to be put in place in this Parliament, so that we see how our Parliament will be working, because we have only 2 speakers, and if we add on the number, it will help us to address these issues. Then I would like to mention something on the restoration of term limits, Right Honorable Speaker. The amendment, we remember very well, was brought to this August House, Right Honorable Speaker, when we were debating age limit. The motion was moved by Honorable Nandala Mafabi and was seconded by Honorable Dongato. So we passed it, Right Honorable Speaker, when we were voting for 3 things: age limit, term limit, and extension of the term to 7 years, Right Honorable Speaker. It was challenged in court by some members, even though the President had already assented to it. But all in all, Right Honorable Speaker, I support the restoration of term limits, so that we know who will come in as our President and who will serve this country, and we want to see to it that they serve within the terms that we have limited to them. That is 2 terms, Right Honorable Speaker. Then the issue of the 7-year term, Right Honorable Speaker, we need first of all to consult on this. We don't need to hurry bringing the 7 years in this discussion, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, we need to go back to the people, to the electorate, and also consult the lower level leaders. Let us consult them, because first of all, it should not only be for Parliament of Uganda that we are extending our term to 7 years. We need to start from LC1 up to President. So if really our people down there agree that we should have the 7 years together with the lower level leaders, then we shall have it. We shall come back and then agree at once that let the term be extended to 7 years. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Akurut Wamai Oshave. Then I go to Honorable Masika. After Masika, we shall have Mulindo. I don't know where Mulindo is. Okay. I've got your names. I'm coming.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the private member that brought up this bill, this amendment bill. I have about 3 issues that I wanted to bring forth on this amendment. The first is about the repealing the office of the Prime Minister. Right Honorable Speaker, we know the value of this office, and we know the work that this office has been doing. Honestly, we know the Prime Minister is the leader of government business, and for quite a long time he's been accountable to MPs. To me, I think the proposal of repealing is quite important, and we need the Prime Minister. And then the other issue, the second issue that I wanted to bring forth, is about the removal of the army representatives in Parliament. Yesterday, I think there was quite a lengthy debate on this, where I think they have been even named as a listening post. All of us know the mandate and the roles of MPs. We know the functions of MPs, of legislation, appropriation, and oversight. By the time we begin to have a member of Parliament regarded as a listening post, then it brings a lot of fear to members, especially for the army representatives. Right Honorable Speaker, in the just concluded general election, there was a serious outcry about the involvement of the army men and the army officers in the elections. It could be the reason that maybe some members lost in the elections. Could it be because of having such listening posts? People come and listen, and then at the end of the day, they feed somebody somewhere. Then at the end of the day, you're witch hunted. I think we would wish that the army representatives are there, but they should not be a listening post. They should not be here to witch hunt colleagues. But also I was wondering, why is the number different? Why should we have the army representatives 10, yet the youth are 5, the disability are 5, the workers are 5, but the army representatives are 10. I think we need to reduce the number to 5. Let us equalize and let us have equity be seen here. Then, Right Honorable Speaker, on the panel of speakers, I want to make a contribution there that Article 82 of the Constitution mandates you, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, as the only persons that have a right to chair over parliamentary business. Without that, then nobody else can be able to chair the business in the House. I think the establishment of the panel of speakers shall be able to cure these, because we now busy, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker have been in this House, and when you're not there, then the business of Parliament is in a standstill. When this panel of speakers is established, then it is able to cure these lacuna, where it is only the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker that can chair the business in the House. So I concur and I support that the panel of speakers should be created, so that when the Speaker or the Deputy Speaker is in this post and cannot be able to chair, then the panel of speakers should be able to chair the House, and there is continuity. We want to appreciate that as human beings we break down, we get tired, so we don't need to have a break in terms of the business of this House, because the Speaker or Deputy Speaker out of the country, or they are engaged in other business, of important business of government. So I concur on the aspect of having the panel of speakers.
Ona Wamai, then Oshave, then Ona Masika, Apollo, then Ona Bosozi, Ona Warswaka, Ona Karubanga, I don't know whether it's here yet. Okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want also to join those who have thanked Honorable Onewagaba for bringing up the private members' bill to amend the Constitution. I want to thank him also for having his ears on the ground, because, Madam Speaker, we are here to legislate for Ugandans and to listen to what Ugandans want. And what Honorable Onewagaba has brought up is what he has picked from the people, and is what he has brought us, what he has brought to this House for us to discuss. Madam Speaker, term limits is very important. Even if somebody was a terrible person, you can bear up with that person, knowing that after 2 terms of 5 years, that person will leave. Because the Constitution will say 2 terms, and will not force people to come up in demonstrations or going to the bush to take up guns, because you know that you can stand the 2 terms until that person is removed by the votes from the people. So term limits is very, very important. It's also very unfair, Madam Speaker, that as members of Parliament we come in here and we try to change what the people want. That we change from 5 years to 7 years. This is wrong. What happens if the performance of the members of Parliament are not good? What about if the level of debate is low? Would you want to have those people in the House for 7 years? It will be an embarrassment to Uganda. How would you send these people who cannot perform to go outside and meet other members of Parliament? So, Madam Speaker, 5 years is okay, we cannot go against that. The Speaker's panel, This is not only coming up in this country, it's in many countries around the world. And the speakers have got a lot of work. They are invited at IPU, Commonwealth Parliamentary Union, SCP, and different organizations around the world. They are very busy. So if we have a panel for speakers, that panel can help when the speakers are away. And I've already seen some people coming up, they want to become speakers. But if all those people had been on the panel of speakers, possibly they would have gained some knowledge how to run the House. So the panel of speakers is very important, and it's very, very unfortunate that the committee try to ignore this thing. It's important and must be retained that we have a panel of speakers. The election, chairman of Electoral Commission. Madam Speaker, this has always caused a lot of problems. There's no chairman who has been there and people have not complained about that chairman. We want this post to be advertised. People to apply, be interviewed, and then they become chairman of the Electoral Commission. Even in Zimbabwe, we had the chairman of the Electoral Commission of Zimbabwe was in this country. And he was telling us he applied for the job. He was interviewed and was given that job. So when he came in, he knew he had won and he was given that job. So nobody would come up and say, so and so elected this one, and that person could not chair the elections properly. Ministers. Madam Speaker, the issue of ministers, we have seen how some ministers have fumbled in this House. And we want ministers who are professionals to run their ministries. Professional ministers would run the ministry. Madam Speaker, just a minute. To run their ministry, we want professional people to run ministries, and the rest to be in the House as members of Parliament. We had a minister here telling us that they are sacrificing their ministers and they are also in Parliament. So we want members of Parliament to be here and ministers to be appointed from professionals to be able to run the ministries. This is a wasteful expenditure. Wasteful. We have got the district police commanders. We have got the resource. We have got the resource. We have got the regional police commanders. Why do we need RDCs? These people can run the security of a district. And in most cases, these RDCs really don't measure. You have seen what goes on in the districts. So we have to save money. Where we have reached, we have been borrowing money from the World Bank, African Development Bank. We are borrowing money all the time, and this is a wasteful expenditure. The position of RDCs should be abolished. Commissioners work on behalf of members of Parliament. And therefore, let members of Parliament choose their commissioners, not to be from somewhere else. Let the members sit and choose commissioners who are going to do what? Who are going to work on behalf of the members of Parliament. And with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to thank you. And I want members to look at some of these issues objectively, to make sure that we amend the Constitution for the people of Uganda, that we work for the people of Uganda, that we should not come here and be selfish and just pass laws that are against the people of Uganda. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Oshave, is Kenneth Ruogo here? Oshave, and then I think we go to Masika, we go to Sozi, I'll start with the people of yesterday, the ones who were here last evening.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for according me time to have a word to this Constitutional Amendment Bill. I want to begin by thanking Honourable Nwagaba. Thank you for having this opinion on our Constitution. Although the committee was so merciless that looking through all the recommendations they made, they rejected almost everything. It's as if they had a thing against you. And it feels so bad, most especially, Madam Speaker, the issue of the panel of speakers. The committee came up, gave very good analysis, how the panel of speakers is so helpful in other countries. But on giving the recommendation, they rejected Honorable Nwagaba's proposal. And that is a system that is cropping up in this House, that people, committees go, do very good work, they present very well, but on making recommendations, they end up making wrong recommendations. Madam Speaker, I support the matter, the issue of having the panel of speakers. We've seen how you suffer. We've seen how you work so hard beyond. Some of us appear here, we leave you here, we go watch you on TV while we are in our offices, we reach home, when you're still there. Madam Speaker, I think this House should support the panel of speakers, and so that we relieve some of the work that goes on. Madam, on the issue of the army in Parliament, Madam Speaker, in 2017, I watched with my own eyes when the army who are supposed to be members of Parliament turned against their fellow members of Parliament. At the time, we were in the House, we were in the chambers, so they just showed to us that we are here not for you, you're not our colleagues. When their colleagues came, they started beating up and boxing members of Parliament as if they are not their colleagues. So, Madam Speaker, the good thing His Excellency told us they are listening posts. We have UBC program. Very soon we are introducing parliamentary TV. They should sit wherever they want and listen to what is going on here. In addition, sometimes if they want, they can come to the gallery and listen. They cannot miss listening to some of the debate that is going on. Madam Speaker, the issue of term limits, I think we'll have done a service to this country if through this debate, through this constitutional amendment, we return the term limits. Probably it can give some healing to this nation so that next time we get another leader, that leader does not go all the way to think probably that this is his home and this is his country. So I think we need a president who comes, serves and leaves. Tanzania is a country that is rarely under violence because they have managed that. Madam Speaker, when we achieve that, I think we'll have achieved a lot for this country called Uganda. Madam Speaker, on the issue of extension of term limits, this matter was not part of the proposal. Still the committees brought it in like they did it the other time. We do not want, I don't want to, I want to wonder why the chairman always want to insist on these 7 years. The other time Majezi never proposed it, he brought it. This committee of legal, Madam Speaker, must be investigated, especially about this thing of 7 years. They smuggled it in the other time and they are bringing it in this time, Madam Speaker. We need the committees of Parliament, Madam Speaker, to stay within the boundaries of what has been proposed by the proposal of the bill. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Mulindwa Sozi, then Honourable Waruswaka, Honourable Mongin, Honourable Kenneth Rubogo, now Seguya Rubiai. Senyonga, I'm coming.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to comment on 3-4 issues only. Madam Speaker, on amendment of Article 112 and Article 111, that is the proposal to have a deputy president instead of the vice president. Madam Speaker, honestly speaking, in our country we have the vice president. When you look at the position of the vice president in Uganda, His Excellency Honorable Edward John Kasekandi, Ugandans sometimes forget about his existence. The Black Man's Dictionary differentiates between these two, the vice and the deputy. The deputy is that the powers of the person holding such a position are derived from the powers of the principal, in this case, the president. On the other hand, Madam Speaker, the vice may have powers that are not derived from those of the principal, in this case the president. I want to agree with the people who proposed this, that it's better we have a deputy president than a vice president. Madam Speaker, in modern democracies today, the deputy president is the principal assistant of the president and deputizes for the president in the executive functions, while the vice president is appointed by the president, meaning that this person has to be aligned to whatever the president is saying. The deputy president is elected. The deputy president, on the other hand, Madam Speaker, is elected as part of the joint ticket with the president. In other words, is the running mate. Madam Speaker, if the committee wants to maintain the nomenclature as they say, let the vice president be elected together with the president such that he or she is equally accountable to the people as in Article 1, Clause 1 to Clause 4 of the 1995 Constitution. Madam Speaker, it is a good practice as it prepares other Ugandans for the top office. Madam Speaker, on the second issue, amendment of Article 78 of the Constitution to remove the army from Parliament. Let me invite you to Article 78(1), A, B, and C verbatim. I read it for you very quick, Madam Speaker. Article 78 of the Constitution. I read it for you verbatim. Madam Speaker, Article 78, Parliament shall consist of members directly elected to represent constituencies. B, one woman representative for every district. And C, such numbers of representatives of the army, youth, workers, persons with disability, and other groups as Parliament may determine. Madam Speaker, the army, the youth, the workers, and the PWDs recently added the elderly. Last week I proposed that the first runner-up in the presidential should be part of Parliament. And others like police, prison, sex workers, comedians, and musicians will demand to be represented. Madam Speaker, unless members have forgotten, the members of the committee, the preamble of our Constitution is still very fresh in my mind. That recording our history, which is characterized by constitutional instabilities, political instability, oppression, which were caused by the army, mismanagement of the army. The governments at that time, they failed to control the army. So bring the army on board in a way it gives them platform to manage their views better. Madam Speaker, I am proposing that let us retain the army, or if proposing that let us remain the army in Parliament, or if you want to abolish it, let all the interested groups, as mentioned in 708, 1B and C, be abolished. That is, let's do away with the workers, do away with the youth, do away with the PWDs, Madam Speaker, after me. No. Do away with the, including the women, we do away with them, such that we remain with the direct elected representatives. Because they are represented, you are part of the constituency as well, which we represent. We are debating members. Madam Speaker, on the proposal to have ministers, the Vice President, Attorney General, and Deputy Attorney General as official members of the Parliament, it's a very good proposal. However, it has a bearing on Article 93, which bars Parliament from debating issues that have a bearing on the consolidated fund. Madam Speaker, though it's a good idea that members of Parliament may come from outside, because it will be giving members of Parliament to concentrate on their constituencies and the MPs to concentrate on the national dockets. I want to propose that instead of having them from within Parliament or outside, let's better leave the powers as enshrined in Article 111, if I read for you verbatim, because it encloses all this. 111A, the President, there shall be a cabinet which shall consist of the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, and such number of ministers as may appear to the President to be reasonably necessary for the efficient running of the state. I want to propose that we maintain that the President will see fit on how to manage the country better, other than restricting to members of Parliament or having them from outside the Parliament. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, on the creation of a Speaker's panel, insertion of that is Article 82B, unless Article 93 is also amended accordingly. When you look at the size of the 11th Parliament that is coming, and you compare it with the size of the 6th Parliament then as it was, that justifies the need for a Speaker's panel. Our parliament is growing.
Thank you. Masika? Masika, then Honorable Warswaka. Is Honorable Seguya here? Seguya, I've seen you. Nora, I've seen you. Is Honorable Seguya here? I'm looking for those who were here yesterday first. I've seen you the others, but let me finish with the Rob, I've seen you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to add my voice on my colleagues who have talked about Niwagawa's bill right from yesterday. For me, I also feel that the position of the Prime Minister should remain intact, because we have seen previously the work which the Office of the Prime Minister has done to our country. Secondly, people are talking about the army. We know what the army does. If they have passed through the training, and they are the ones who came to take over the past regimes, and they are trained. So the position of having 10 members of parliament from the army, that is too much. I feel they should also come to a number of 5, just like any other, the PWs, the youth, and so on. When we come to the RDCs, the position of the RDCs should be retained, because from long time we have heard of the district commissioner, DC, long time ago. They should be there, and they do a lot of, they do good work, because even if there are some few who doesn't do good work, they should be trained, as one colleague has just mentioned. People should pass through training all the time. They should be trained to do good work with their friends. When we come to our commissioners in the parliament, we were elected by the people. The people put all the powers in us to make sure that we elect our own from parliament.
Okay, half a minute to conclude.
Okay, as I conclude, I would like also to add on my voice on the issues like the RDs have talked about it, about them. Then, no, you don't put words in my mouth. So, as I come to conclusion, I would like to talk about the
order, members, please.
I would like to talk about the speaker. The panel, the speaker's chair, you have seen all the time. The speaker sits here all the time. Many colleagues keep on dozing, sleeping. They go out and come in, but she's here. So I also concur with the members who agree that the panel should be formed. Thank you very much.
Honorable Swaka, is Honorable Rubiai here, Seguya? Honorable Karubanga is here. Amongin, Nyendoha. Let me finish the team of yesterday. I've seen you. Rubogo, is he here? Where is he sitting? Oh, it's behind the cameras. Okay.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable members, I have around 6 issues. One, on the issue of ministers, I think the ministers should come both from those who are brought here maybe by the president and those brought by the people. But as one of the honourable members said, a minister should be fairly technical in the field of the ministry he or she is going to head. On the issue of UPDF, Madam Speaker, I think UPDF is needed here, but the number is much. I have a proposal. That because the police and even prisons, they are also complaining. So I propose that UPDF, they come from 10 to 5, then we have 3 police and 2 prisons. Because they are wondering, all of us get guns. Why only these ones? On the issue of the deputy president, I think the first runner-up should be a deputy what? President of an election. On the term limits, Madam Speaker, due to public demand, I think we restore the term limits. On the EC boss, Madam Speaker, to announce elections,
It's just arithmetic. So any person, not only lawyers, indeed, Engineer Dr. Badi Rukigunda, as an engineer and a mathematician, he did well. So we should not limit this position to only lawyers. On the issue of the 7 years, Madam Speaker, this very House passed the 7 years, court quashed it, so we can't bring it again. Let us leave to the 5 years. On the issue of RDCs, Madam Speaker and honourable members, I think in line with the government policy of reducing expenditure, this office should be abolished. Madam Speaker, yes, Madam Speaker, on the issue which is very okay here is the Speaker's panel. No member has come here to disregard it. So I think Honorable Wagaba and Honorable both, this is the main point. Because, Madam Speaker, when we start amending the Constitution, bring this, we shall bring havoc. So I think that this bill, for us not to bring havoc in the country, I beg members that we consider the issue of the Speaker's panel. Because that one, when we pass it here, the court will not quash it, even the cabinet will sign. But otherwise, the rest, we may be wasting time. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Honorable Viai, Seguia, not here. There's no one on the floor. There's no one on the floor. Honorable Nyendoha, Amongin Senyonga. Yesterday's team, the ones who are here up to 7:30, those are those I'm starting with.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity you have accorded me to share out my views on this very important aspect in this August House. And allow me, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, congratulate you for the just concluded elections, and to those of us who went through, congratulations. Those who did not make it, we pray that the Lord Almighty will open up another door for you. Honourable colleagues, allow me appreciate Honorable Nwagaba Wilfred for the initiative of bringing this private members bill. And I also want to credit the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs for processing the bill and for coming up with this report in this August House. Honorable Speaker, allow me at this very moment add my voice, the rest of my colleagues, in making a contribution to what is going on right now in this House on the amendment of this bill 2019. Out of the many objects of this constitutional amendment bill, I will interest myself on 6 of these. And one of them is on the Speaker's panel. I am in support of this. We are aware of the fact that this issue was first discussed during the constitutional amendment of 2015, and the proposal was adopted by the House then, when it adopted the minority report that had accompanied the main committee report in the House. It is an international best practice in most Commonwealth countries to have additional persons to preside over the House in the absence of the Speaker and Deputy Speaker. And Uganda being one of the countries under Commonwealth, I think it will be very prudent for us to be in position to adopt this. That can help us to have a continuous flow of Parliament. Secondly, on the issue of presidential term limits, most democratic countries worldwide have presidential term limits. You remember very well in 2017, when we were doing consultations, most of the population indicated the need for us to restore term limits. I'm therefore in support of us to restore the presidential term limits in our constitution. On the appointment of ministers from members of parliament, I would concur with the proposal that the ministers are picked from the members of parliament, because the members of parliament, when they are appointed as ministers, they appreciate and understand the challenges that the members of parliament and the country has at large when it comes to service delivery
and the execution of some of these policies that we have as a nation. I'm also in support of the issue of RDCs to remain. You are aware of the role of RDCs in monitoring and inspecting activities of local governments. As members of parliament, we've gone around this country doing our oversight role, but we encounter very many challenges when it comes to service delivery by some of the civil servants. We have only been able to register positive performance in some of these districts when we realize that the role of RDCs who have been able to make sure that they supervise most of these government programs. But we can also go ahead to make sure that they go through an induction to enable them get acquainted to their roles in monitoring these government programs. Honorable colleagues, to those of you who have been out there doing your oversight role in some of these districts, we have a very big challenge when it comes to implementation of government programs. Only the RDCs who have been able to help us in doing this. Madam Speaker, just allow me to finish up with this. The term of MPs, I propose that should remain on 5. And then lastly, the issue of holding presidential, general, parliamentary, and local council elections on the same day, I am not in agreement with this. Just imagine all this, the president, the constituency MPs, woman MPs, LOC 5, district local councillors, LOC 3 and its councillors, being elected on the same day. All these people have got their agents, 2-2. Just imagine the crowding. A place like Vulisa, which is a 1-2 constituency, we do not have our results in time. It takes almost 2 days for results to be announced. How much more will it be if we converge and have the elections done on the same day? Therefore, Madam Speaker, this is my submission, and I pray that the elections be or remain the way they've been holding them. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Jackie Amongin, Honorable Senyonga, Honorable Go, and Honorable Karubanga.
Honorable Speaker, first of all, to appreciate the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee for bringing up, and Honorable Nwaga for bringing up this bill. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to draw the attention of the House to the capacity of and the potential that